Sweet. Well, welcome back. This is episode 3 of the Waffle-Copter. Shout out to Eddie Masters for the name. Anyway, thanks for joining. We've got Craig Murray, Tom Prier, Dan Booker, and myself, Chaz. And thanks to everyone on Instagram who's asked questions. We're going to try and answer them and just chat random. So let's rope into it.
Sweet. Should we go chronological question order or?
Yeah, we might not be able to do all of them. So if it's a real rogue one, we'll skip it.
Okay. Well, we'll start with you first. Do a question for you.
Yep.
It's the biggest challenge that you've conquered so far. It doesn't really say racing or anything, but I don't know. Or some challenges.
Yeah. Great question. Well, yeah, maybe we just all go and just say a quick thing that we didn't think we'd be able to do that we've done, like a challenge we've overcome. I mean, recently. I could think back to stuff in the past, but recently would be last week, just being able to race after hurting my ribs on the practice day. That was the biggest recent challenge I've overcome. But yeah, so I'll start with that. Booker?
Biggest recent one for me is probably just having to miss the first 2 rounds and get back into training when I was kind of ready to come over. That'd be the biggest recent one, but it's also been there's a lot of good things about it too. So
yeah, that's a good point. I'm interested, like, what's it like mentally, like having to sit on the sidelines for the first couple of races? You can just hold it if you want.
Yeah, mentally, yeah, it's definitely hard to sit at home and watch, but more so you just got to like adapt, I suppose. Like you kind of just very quickly realize that you're not going to be there. And then from there, just make new plans and crack on and do some training. And
what have you been up to instead to keep you busy?
Just been in the cold. I've been in Queenstown and just been. I don't have a road bike or anything, so just been riding my mountain bike on the road, just in a wrist brace. So, but I think the challenging thing about that is like pushing it. With an injury, you kind of like trying to get better as quickly as you can. Yeah. And then you want to push it, but then you push it too far, and then you feel like you're going backwards. So you're like balancing that. Yeah. So that's a bit of a challenge.
That's a horrible feeling.
Yeah. What about you, Tom?
Challenge recently. I don't know. It's like always just been away is kind of an ongoing challenge. So not fully conquered it yet, but this trip 3 months away from home is a pretty long time. So we're in the process of that challenge. I don't know, maybe we have to do a repeat episode at some point when the challenge is being conquered. But that's
mid-challenge.
Yeah, mostly. I mean, I know I've been pretty lucky with not getting injured, and it's like my role's a bit different to you guys, but yeah, that's probably the thing that I struggle with the most.
Yeah,
I'd say.
I've expanded on that question a little bit for you. Like I remember maybe last week or the week before, you were like, I don't know, a few things were against you, like you had super bad hay fever or was sick or something, and then you know, like just having to battle everything in one day.
Yeah.
Like, what's how do you approach that? Because like when I show up, like you've always done a mint job, but I can't see what happens behind the scenes. So like, obviously some days it all goes smoothly, some days you feel like everything's out to get you.
Yeah, that day was rebuild day, so. Rebuild day is usually pretty good because I've got a routine. So I just because I'm doing everything in the same order at pretty much the same time, and like my way, I can just kind of block out. I just put my headphones in. Usually, I think that day, I listen to music on rebuild day, just because it's like quite nice and chill. But that day I just put my AirPods in on noise cancelling, but with no music, just to like block out everyone talking and all the other stuff going on. And now it's like quite nice because I just go in like my rhythm, and that's something that I like really enjoy. It's like quite like methodical. It's not meditation, but it's like
therapeutic.
Yeah, it is real therapeutic. So I know I did like that day was lucky because the work was actually the like distracting factor. And then I know I had hay fever, so I just had to blow my nose a lot. I had a nosebleed halfway through the day because I was blowing my nose so much.
Oh.
Yeah.
So how do you see this stuff?
What kind of music do you usually listen to if you're like work on the bike with your headphones in? Or do you just have no music?
It really depends. Like most of the time, I listen. Like pretty much every time I listen to music. This is like a odd exception. sometimes it will be like rap, sometimes it's Taylor Swift, just like anything, just like fully what I feel like on the day. I think in finale I was listening to like country music.
Nice.
Sometimes I just put on like, I don't know, a bit of Fred again or something. Just really depends on like what song I listened to a few days ago. I'm like, oh, that's like the mood that I'm in.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah, anything. Probably like, I don't know, do you listen to music when you ski?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Depends. Like on what I'm doing and if I'm skiing with people or not.
Yeah.
If I'm just solo lapping, then yeah, I try.
Yeah.
tunes in.
But always the same or different?
Mix it up. Yeah. Mood dependent, and kind of skiing dependent, condition
Yeah,
dependent.
true. You don't want to get
Yeah.
real hyped if it's sketchy.
Yeah.
It's icy. You have to tone it down a bit sometimes.
Yeah. Need to be in the chill zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your biggest challenge recently? Say in the last 12 months.
Yeah, probably like an injury one as well. I hurt my knee at the end of March, and yeah, I guess I'm surprised and stoked that it's come right in like 2 months to do race Leo going. Definitely didn't.
How do you approach it?
Got a lot of help with physio, put the head down, and like, yeah, I don't really like the gym, but just went to the gym every day to get it at least like started, and then after a few weeks started being able to bike while doing rehab, and then just slowly like trying to do less and less gym.
More and more real world, IRL. I know a little bit. I don't know the whole thing, but I know how hard you've been working on your filming this season.
Yeah.
And you had some pretty epic stuff going on, and then you got injured right in the crux of it.
Yeah.
Like mentally, you just always seem to be positive and look forward. But I know a lot of people would get really bogged down by that and kind of throw them off kilter. So do you have any like mental techniques to get over that disappointment?
Yeah, I guess a few. I think like the main way I look at it is just you can't change what's happened, and like focusing on being positive, progressing is always going to be better than getting hung up on what could have been or what you're missing out on. And like that's super hard, and I've dealt with that in multiple aspects of my life, but I think being able to channel that in sport and maintain perspective and whatnot is super helpful. And I actually credit some of that to like having good friends and family back home that are like working normal jobs and grinding 9 to 5, and I get inspired by them and their like work ethic, and it also just makes me appreciate like how good I've got it. And like, yeah, it's hard work sometimes, but you're still kind of overseas doing what you love. So, yeah.
I find focusing on what you can do, not what you can't do,
Yeah.
is a very big thing there.
Yeah.
Because then, if you focus on what you can do, then you just start like doing what you can. You just start seeing progress, and then progress
It's a positive.
builds motivation, and then it's
I think we've nailed that one. Yeah. There's also another one about injuries, which we pretty much nailed just then, I think, as well.
Sweet.
We could look at it a little bit, but maybe, what's something a bit left field?
Yeah, a left field one. There's a few. Dan, Dream Drifter. Eddie wants to know.
Eddie. Dream Drifter. It's got to be Little Johnny. Straight out of New Zealand. It's got to be Little Johnny.
What about Drift Wagon? What wagon do you like?
What wagon?
Yeah.
What car?
Yeah.
Little Corolla.
Yeah.
Gotta be a little Corolla.
Let's do everyone's favourite car while we're here. That's
Yeah.
a good idea. TP, I already know your answer. But
Favourite car?
Yeah.
It depends if we're going practical.
You give us two. You can give us two.
Impractical. Well, the car that I, for some reason, always wanted, I guess if you're from New Zealand and it's like you're a mountain biker or a skier, at some point in your life you have to have an Outback. So I've got my Outback. It's the first car I've had, and I'm going to run it until it is completely dead. I've fixed the boot finally, around the 2x4 in that for about 2.5 years. But then if I could actually just choose like a car that would be like not necessarily a nice car to have, but just one that would be like kind of sick, is either a 4x4 Fiat Panda or a Brumby. The Brumbies are pretty cool. Samonic's got a sick one with his bike in it, and I was like, it's a good goal. But yeah, Subaru all the way.
Nice. In New Zealand, actually Eddie and Cole know this one, but probably a Carib. I saw this, they posted this one thing, and it's a Carib just with another car loaded on top of it. And it's just like so sick. But yeah, I don't know. I love like Suzuki Samurais and all those little ones as well. Mm.
Nice. Probably just an old school Hilux. Just like, just good bones.
Yeah.
Great bones.
Can't go wrong.
Or an old school Land Cruiser, really. Yeah. Big fans of both of those. Toyota all the way.
Yeah.
Is your final answer Corolla?
Yeah, Corolla, or I've got a Hilux back home, and that just won't die.
Yeah.
It'll just go forever. So
You've got my dream car. No one said Ferrari or Porsche or anything.
No,
so
I think
that's
we're all
quite
on
telling.
different budget. We're on the mountain biking budget.
Yeah.
We could go another like semi left field one, but we have top 3 Porridge accessories from Sam Evans.
Oh, nice.
yeah, shout out Oatmeals on Instagram for that. Top 3 Porridge accessories. I'm gonna go dates, peanut butter, and banana. Solid.
That's pretty healthy.
Yeah.
Super quick. Tiny pinch of salt. Some banana and a bit of maple syrup.
I just go brown sugar, cinnamon, and ginger. Yeah, just
Ginger
spice.
powder.
Yeah, I just do the powder and just mix it all up. It's pretty good.
Nice.
Simple.
Probably cream, tomato, and hot sauce.
We'll hold you to that one. I'm going to cook you breakfast tomorrow morning.
Savoury. I've never had a savoury porridge.
Nah.
That's red hot, literally. Yeah, maybe let us know who asked them too.
Oh yeah, that was Sam Evans.
Yeah.
We got probably, I'm assuming for Booker, but maybe Charlie as well. From Coda Hawks is, will you be competing at Hardline 2025?
That's for Booker, I think. Yeah.
I'd love
Straight
to.
up no
Yeah.
for Charlie.
Yeah, Hardline in Tassie this year is probably the most fun event I've ever done. Just like the whole week is everyone. It's not like, it doesn't feel like you're at a race. Everyone's working together, and you're like ticking off the features one by one. And yeah, the racing didn't quite go to plan for me this year. Had a big crash in my finals where I slipped my hand off the bars, and
Can we see that on Insta?
you can. Oh, I don't think it is, but I might have to post it. But yeah, I'd love to again. What about you?
I love the idea of Hardline. I'm not quite there yet. Need some more airtime.
I don't know about that.
But we'll see. But I think probably, yeah, I would love to, but it's not like a goal right now. Maybe in a few years. And Wales? Have you thought about Hardline Wales?
Yeah, so I got invited this year, but I got invited the same day I broke my wrist. So that was a tough one. Yeah, it rubbed it in a bit. But I'd like to. I don't know about that New Canyon gap if they put that thing in again, but yeah, I'd like to.
Yeah, apparently it's there to stay from the sounds of it. So
yeah, I've heard they've got it.
maybe the safety net comes out as
Yeah,
well
I
for
don't know.
next year.
I don't know if the net's doing much for
A
you.
lot of mini rampers to take off. That thing looks sketchy. There's actually a few dirt jump related questions.
Yeah, for you.
Yeah, Dan Cleland has been hounding me for years. Well, pretty much when I started working with Charlie and the Vale got ploughed, my dirt jump career plummeted. It wasn't really a career, but
That's a testament to the Vale.
Yeah, testament to the Vale. Yeah, as soon as that thing disappeared, the jump bike got hung up, and I think I've ridden it maybe 4 times since then, and the Vale was probably been gone for nearly 2 years. So Dan's saying, when am I riding it again? And probably when he's next in Christchurch and pretty much forces me to ride it. He took me to the skate park when he was back in January and made me do some bar spins and stuff, and I got a couple shinners. So then Joe was saying, when was my last bar spin 360, and will my dirt jump career ever be resurrected? I can't remember the last time I even spun a jump, probably just before the Vale went, but it's a bloody good feeling. So hopefully it happens again, but I'm not holding my breath for it. We'll see.
You get on the mulchi.
Yeah, we could do it on the mulchi. Yeah.
That involves driving to the bike park with your dirt jump bike.
Yeah, and then you're kind of locked in. You can't just go and do a couple straight as, like you're going to go then. So I think I'd rather just go paddle somewhere instead and avoid the thought.
There's one more dirt jump. Just knock them all out of the park at once, I reckon.
Were those two?
Or was that a...
Oh, that's a good one.
I think one of the
that's
pages is mostly you and Craig, and one of the pages is...
Yeah, well, there's one here from Clinton. Who would win between Charlie and Craig in a UFC fight? I think we might just have to put this to the test.
This is...
Just anyway, it would be a good live stream.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear Craig's thoughts on this, but we've had some pretty big scraps over the years. Like recently, we've had friendly wrestles, and then when we were kids, we had not so friendly fights. What do you think, Craig?
Well, I don't know the rules of UFC, so that's probably an advantage. I don't know. I mean, you got to back yourself, but
Yeah.
You can't go into a fight thinking you're going to lose.
But this is the problem. We both back ourselves. We're both decently strong, and we both don't give up. So
who's more mongrel between the two of you?
well,
That's probably what it's going to come down to.
we're both can be quite
Depends on the
mongrel.
day.
So this is the problem. It gets like really. We were having a friendly wrestle at this party a few years ago, and our friends broke us up because they thought we were going to kill each other. And we were like, no, this is just friendly. But yeah, so we don't want to see it really.
Yeah, I heard you sniped Charlie with a shoe for a window at one point, and
In childhood,
yeah, that happens.
still got the scar.
Yeah,
It was. Yeah, it's a two-way street. It was my fault.
there was a bit of this going on.
yeah, poke the dad.
Whining, yeah.
So we had this game we'd play basically, and we'd come home from shopping with Mum. We're probably like 8 and 10 or 10 and 12, pretty young. We'd come home from shopping with Mum, and as soon as the car would pull into the driveway, we had like a front path that came up and across a lawn and then up the steps to our house. We would both dive out of the car, sprint to the house. The house is always open. So the first one would get in and then lock the door or hold the handle shut so the next person couldn't get in. So either Craig would be inside and I'd be stuck out, or I'd be inside and Craig would be stuck out. But because I was 2 years older, I usually could get there in front of him. So at one point, he'd had enough and he just picked up the closest thing, which was like a bike shoe with a cleat and everything, and just smoked it through the glass front door straight into me.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to see that. But my modification to that story is I don't think I actually ever got inside first.
Really?
I think 100% of the time Charlie beat me in, and then actually like would pull in the driveway. I wouldn't even want to race, but because he started racing, I'd chase him, and then I just obviously end up behind him. I wouldn't
He had
even.
an unfair advantage.
I wouldn't be thinking about it, and then all of a sudden the car's off and he's halfway up the path and I'm like running after him for God knows why. He's just got to wait like 20 seconds and then he's got to open it for Mum with the groceries. Probably should have been carrying the groceries.
Yeah, true, both of us.
Yeah.
And then she gets to the house, there's 2 bleeding kids and a broken door.
Yeah. It's like,
I think Craig's modification's accurate, I have to admit.
yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
That was a good one from Clinton.
yeah, that was a good question. If a tree falls in the woods and nobody witnesses it, does it happen?
You've got a good answer for this one.
Yeah, it's probably like blocking off all the trails. It's probably some local here that hates mountain bikers that's felted over the trail for you.
It's definitely
So,
happened when
yes,
you go...
There's been a lot of trees down, and we've been trying to move them.
When you crash into it around a blind corner, it's definitely fallen
definitely
over.
down. So yeah, trees are always down in the woods. This is from John Turpin, who's been filming for Charlie last couple of weeks. Would you rather do an EWS in a full ski kit? So I think we're going not shoes, but head to toe, including socks and base layers, or a free ride world tour in a full mountain bike kit.
I'll definitely do the mountain bike kit on the snow.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good.
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Otherwise you get too hot and you just pass out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to pass out when I race at finale anyways. in the heat, in my-
Some people do in mountain bike kit.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like, you know, getting the kit off and skiing is alright for a run anyway, so
Yeah, I'm sure
it's actually quite
Do it
exhilarating, yeah.
Yeah, or maybe that's the next EWS tactic. Like skin suits are banned, but I don't know if skin just is anyway.
Yeah,
so
skin ban.
it'd be pretty arrow maybe. Would you rather do a EDR Enduro barefoot or ride the Holy Trinity in the dark from Noz? Noah Davidson. I have no idea what the Holy Trinity is, but I feel like
the Holy Trinity must be it's a lap at Medina. I can't
true.
in the dark. I'm gonna say the Holy Trinity.
Yeah, barefoot would be
Barefoot's just at least you've got a chance of not as much pain. Like that's guaranteed pain at EWS barefoot. But
I rode down the front steps at our house once on my jump bike and barefoot because I was just quickly going somewhere and instantly regretted it.
Yeah.
I had a lot of holes in the bottom of mine.
I used to work with a guy, Hugh Andrews, who he would take half of his pedal pins out so he could ride his BMX barefoot.
Oh, like one side?
So one side would be like a completely smooth pedal and the other side would have pins because he'd just ride barefoot so much.
That's actually such a good idea. I think the only person who could do the EWS barefoot would probably be Eddie.
Yeah, it would be Eddie.
Because Eddie would just go for like a pretty normal ride in like Jandals or BFE.
Well,
Newly Docks could be another. Newly Docks could be another.
Well, speaking of Jandals riding, and we're in Morzine in 2019. So the end of every year in Morzine, they do a bike Morzine party train down Plenty Mainline, and you got to dress up. So it was 2019, it was the end of the season, and I did that in Jandals and just like a open shirt. And the Jandals are actually pretty good. Like the Jandals on the pedals work really well, but it's the feet in the Jandals that are the lacking factor. And you got no sport mode on Jandals, so yeah. But the Jandal pedal combo is good. You like get a good.
Because it probably
flex.
flexes into the all the cleat and surface so much.
But the 10%, 10% on Plenty, that was honestly terrifying. Just like you can hardly stay on your bike anyway. So with Jandals, it was awful. But good experience, and it's like pretty flowing. You just don't want to clip your feet on a rock.
Yeah.
I guess you guys, any thoughts on putting down watts on flats versus clips? You're both running the power meters, so
yeah. Well, I guess this is mostly Booker because he's most people run clips. So what do you think about the flats and pedaling?
I reckon it's fine. Honestly, I've never ever done like a back-to-back with a power meter or anything, but I feel like you can put out just as much power. But
Just your technique is different?
Yeah, technique's definitely different. For enduro, I reckon it's just pedaling over like rough, rooty stuff is like where you get into strife. You
good job there's no rough, rooty pedaling in enduro.
No, but I think it sort of like, it makes me pedal less, which is good, because then I'd focus on carrying speed more and like pump through sections a bit more than I'd pedal through them. So,
And you don't have to pedal.
And I don't have to pedal, which is always good.
I think that's a good point, and I also agree with Booker in terms of the power. I think you might lose a little bit, but so much of your power comes from the downstroke and the sweep through, which you can still do on flats. So like in a road sprint, it's probably comparable. You're on an enduro bike anyway. The tires are heavy. The suspension bobs.
Yeah.
So it's not perfect. So I think it's probably comparable. You might lose a little. 5%.
Yeah, the flats have been making a bit of a comeback in enduro the last few years with Alex Rideau as well. Has been
And Alex Storr.
Alex Storr as well.
Yeah.
Alex Storr's full time on flat. So
Morgan.
Yeah,
and obviously
they're coming back.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think they're a big advantage in some places and then probably a disadvantage in others. So it just evens out.
Yeah.
Kind of you again. Where's all your style come from? Because there's been a lot of stylish clips recently. The Crankworks backflip to manual, and even just like the little pop out the manual at the end was. I watched that clip on repeat so many times, just wondering how. But
You see a clip, it's always golden.
Always insane. So where's all the style? Were you a dirt jumper or?
Yeah. I just rode heaps of skate park when I was a kid, and I think like that's where all the manuals have come from. Because if you've ever ridden a hardtail at a skate park, they're not very good for much.
No, you got to do manual lines, and that's pretty much
manuals
it.
up. So you just do that, and then I don't know. I just love riding dirt jumps and skate parks and stuff as a kid, and still do. So yeah, I don't know. It's got to be fun.
Yeah, I reckon all the jibs you do are cool. Like the stuff that it's not like even just that wheelie or manual through those gates at Skyline.
Far out.
How did that take?
Too long. I think I tried it. I worked out roughly how many goes that took, and because I tried it like every lap of the season, I'd try it, and I did 100 something laps, and then and then my mate Vaughan, who's the most patient filmer of all time, I think he sat there for about 60 in a row of me just hiking it. So yeah, it was close to just under 200 goes together, I reckon.
How long did 68 goes take?
Oh, it must have been a couple of hours. Yeah, and there was one like not very far in where I dropped it on the last gate. So I got all the way through, dropped it on the last gate, and then the next one I dropped it on the first gate again. So it's just like a bit demoralising.
I saw the clip and I was like, oh, that's pretty sick. Fair play. And then I went there and I hadn't seen it. Went there for the first time with that new gate. And I could barely ride through it with 2 wheels. And I was like, oh my God, the level of respect went through the roof.
The best part of that was someone came through and saw us filming and was taking the piss and just like took the piss riding through the gates, and then clipped the last one and went over the bars.
Instant karma.
While you're looking for that, someone has asked for my history. I guess we'll keep it pretty short and do... They probably want to know the history of how we started working together.
Yeah.
So in 2018...
And maybe just also where you like... how you fell in love with bikes and stuff like before we were working.
I just always worked in bike shops. It's like when I was in school, when I was probably like 15 or 14, there was this one shop in town, and I think I asked the owner that who was there. I probably asked him 3 or 4 times for a job. I'd just like go in like maybe every 6 months and like, hey, like, can I have a job? One of my really good mates, Logan, worked there. He was an unpaid intern for quite a while, but he got a good discount, so he was doing that. So yeah, eventually the guy was like, fine, we'll get you on. So I just worked like shop floor for ages for the summer, and then ski season, just doing like ski rentals and all that. And then finished school, worked full time there, just again, shop grom for a bit. And then I came over to Morzine for the summer in 2018. It was like my first summer out of school. And I was here all season, just like riding, just pretty much pedaling every day. Didn't ride that much bike park. And I needed to figure out how to get back to the UK so I could get home. And I didn't have a car, I couldn't drive, I didn't have my driver's license or anything at that point. So, and it was already the interseason, like the lifts had stopped, pretty much everyone had left. Like, you know, Morzine is like a ghost town at the end of the year. So pretty much the only 2 people left were Sam Shaw and Jamie Nicol. So I went out for dinner with those guys.
Those are 2 wild characters.
Yeah, they're 2 great characters.
Trouble with those guys.
Yeah, I got myself in some big rides with those guys, a couple bonk missions for sure. But Sam was just like, oh, do you want to come out for dinner? And I was really hesitant because I was so poor at that point. Like, I hadn't been working. I just like saved up money before I left. So I was like, oh, fine, like I'll come out. It's probably the last one I'll do. And I was just like saying to those guys, like, oh, I have no idea how I'm going to get back to the UK. And Sam's just like, oh, come to like these last 2 EWS races with me. So it was like Ainsa in Spain and then Finale. And I was like, that's the complete opposite direction. Like, that's not where I need to be going. He's like, no, once you get to Finale, it'll be fine. Like, you'll be able to find someone going back to the UK. Which he was right, I did. That's a bit of another story. I ended up sleeping outside a train station and a few other bits and pieces. But so I went, and he was like, oh yeah, we're just meeting up with these 2 other Kiwis on the way. We're going to pick them up from Geneva. And that was you and Tom Bradshaw. So still a couple of pretty key players in the mountain bike industry. So we did those 2 races. It was probably one of the funnest trips I'd done. There was a few curveballs in there. We all got food poisoning.
Yeah.
We
ate some poisoned sausages.
Yeah, we ate some poisoned sausages.
Well, we poisoned ourselves by leaving them in the sun on the dashboard for 2 days, and then we ate them.
Which was a shame, because it's like we went to one of Tom's friends' houses, and this dude was French, and his parents had cooked the most insane spread of food. It was honestly incredible. And then there's the 4 of us, just all with food poisoning. We was looking at all this food, and we just felt so bad because we couldn't really eat that much of it. But it was like, you couldn't not either because it looked so good. Yeah. So after that, I went back, worked in the same shop as a bike mechanic. So it's like started learning. One of the guys there, Nigel, showed me the ropes. Who he actually worked with Marshy like back in the day. So it's like pretty small world. Marshy's still doing World Cups. And then came back to Europe another summer. Again, I probably saw you at a few races. That was the year Eddie won Les Ors. So I raced that, and then came back, and when I was just going back to New Zealand, I got offered a job in Christchurch, which was where Charlie was living at the time. And messaged Charlie, and I was like, oh, I need to find a flat to live in. I don't know anyone in Christchurch. Like, you were the only person I knew. And he's like, oh, I'm moving in with my mate. So I moved in with Rami and Kenji, and it was like...
The rest is history.
Yeah, the rest is history, pretty much. And then, when you needed a new mechanic after your first year, wanted someone English speaking, you sent me a message asking if I knew anyone, and I was sitting at my desk at work looking at an Excel spreadsheet, and I was like, please just pick me. But I think the day before that, I nearly ran into you going down Bowenvale. You were paddling up, and I was coming down, and I was like, oh, maybe if I hadn't nearly hit you that day, you would have not remembered. Yeah, so that's how this all started. It was just a few right place, right time, good timing, and a few just need to be somewhere. And it all kind of worked out.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's like looking back on it. It was kind of unlikely with how everything was going, but now it was just the perfect combo.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I always think looking back to that trip, and I've still got all the photos on my phone. So sometimes I'm just scrolling through and have a look, and seeing your setup, and that would have been your first year, probably your third and fourth races, because you did the two in South America.
Yeah,
but you're on your Scott, just XC bike. Half of the gear was ski gear. Probably didn't really know what you were doing. So to see that part of Charlie's race career, and then winning races and being a pretty much consistent podium contender now, is so funny. So it's it's cool to see the whole journey from the start to where it is now.
It's not a very long time.
Yeah, and not a very long time either. So it's cool.
It feels like a long time, 2018. What's that? 6 years ago. But I guess compared to some of the guys who've been there for Richie's been winning for 10 years or something. Yeah. But I guess you're pretty it seems like you've come a long way in a short time too.
Yeah, I think so. I raced a lot when I was a junior. I raced downhill, but then I didn't race for years, and then I suppose came back into it pretty well. It was pretty funny doing my first enduro races, because the first enduro race I ever did was a EWS qualifier, and then the second enduro race I did was a EWS. So I was pretty fresh in that, and then ended up doing half a season. That was 2019, and then
so similar timing really.
And then I wasn't even planning on racing enduro. I went overseas my first year with Nukeproof. Went overseas to race Crankworks. I was going to do a full Crankworks year. And then it lined up for me to do the first EWS, and I got fifth at that one. And then I was overseas pretty much like a privateer. I got enough funding to do a season, pretty much. But
was it the Scottish one?
Oh yeah, that was the Scottish one. Yeah. So yeah, I sort of I had enough funding to get pretty much get a van, and pay for the race entries. So, and then after doing that EWS. Then, Nigel and the Nukeproof guys put me on the team for the rest of the year, and then that's how it sort of went from that to doing it full time. So I was pretty lucky, just right time, doing well at the right time at the right race.
Yeah, that's the thing. It is just right time, right place. And then talking about people who are learning quickly, Craig obviously has been killing it. Well, this year and last year. What do you find the crossover between bike and ski, and is biking something you want to do more of, or is it just a bit of a side hobby?
I guess I get asked that a lot. What's the crossover between the two? There's definitely some similarities. There's a lot of differences as well. I think just having a bit of disregard for throwing your body down a hill is probably the main thing. I don't know. I don't really get enough time on the bike to be able to look down as much, look up as much as I do on skis and stuff. So I think if I was doing that, there'd probably be more stuff happening that was similar. But I feel like I'm just hanging on a lot of the time and trying to.
Well, you got to hang on.
Not hit the ground. But what was the second part of the question?
Oh, you can do more biking, or
do more.
Is it just something in the off season for you?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. Obviously, that's why I'm here, and it's a good way to hang out with yourself and people like you too. So, yeah, definitely do as much as possible. I guess like my main focus is in the mountain skiing, but yeah, where it fits, I'll cram in as much as possible.
Yeah, it's probably good
Yeah.
cross training too. And Eddie and I have a theory, which you can either confirm or deny, or no comment. But we reckon when your feet get off the pedals, you're more comfortable because then you're on the ground. It's like you're skiing.
Yeah, yeah, that's a fair comment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you reckon, because there's a slight, I know someone else maybe said this theory at some point, but a lot of the time skiing, and maybe this is like slightly different to how you actually see it, but if you see something and you can't see what's on the other side, you just hit it quicker to where you can see. So it's like a drop or something. Like you guys are hitting it for the first time without actually riding it. Like you've seen it from the bottom. So when you're riding, does that kind of link over to be like, oh, I can see there's like this drop and there might be roots, but do you just go quicker to where you can see? And like, because
Yeah.
you're so used to not being able to see what's there anyway, you just run that
Yeah.
from the skiing side of things?
I think that's a good point. I think that's probably a thing. Or like not being like just in the winter, I just encounter so many blind rolls that like in biking, I probably should be a bit more worried about what's on the other side. But it's just,
Blind roll just opens up the throttle.
yeah, but it's for sure. Like yeah, if I'm coming into something skiing, I can see like way down there, and it looks all good. Then you definitely just like tuck in and pop extra hard to go further.
Just go big or go home.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, blind rolls aren't great either way, but like you say, if you've scoped it from the bottom and you think you're in the right place and that's the right spot and angle and everything, then yeah, I mean, I'm definitely more comfortable doing that than a lot of people, I'd say.
Yeah, that's a good point. Should we hit maybe 2 more questions and then maybe let you guys go riding? Have a little squiz.
Yeah, maybe you see if you can pick any more good ones.
What do we got?
There's a lot of...
There's a lot of questions to choose from.
I know, it's hard. It takes a long time to do one question sometimes.
Yeah. There's a good while you're looking. There was a how many kilos of pasta do you think you could eat?
Oh.
Also Dan Cleveland. Pasta is the
go.
yeah, in one sitting. I feel like you two eat quite a lot. I don't really eat that much. I reckon I'd be pushing a kilo max.
Can you have like olive oil, salt and pepper?
No, a raw dog.
Raw,
Dog, yeah.
maybe a kg?
kg. Yeah. I think a kg would be a lot.
Yeah.
Booker?
kg of pasta.
Yeah.
That's too much for me.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah,
it-
life depended on it. You gotta eat a kg or not.
Oh, you could probably
Oof.
cook away. That's a lot. Like wet or dry.
Oh, wet kg.
Oh.
Dry kg is like 3 kilos. Isn't that the rule? It's like 1
Yeah,
to 3.
wet kg probably.
Yeah.
All right,
You'd be feeling dense after that.
Yeah.
I reckon, yeah, I wouldn't want to do a kg, but I could if I had to.
Yeah.
If it was life and death. You do a lot of stuff if it was life and death. So I reckon we've got 2 questions. And one of them's just we'll just start with this one actually. Just some general, like, for someone, say a young kid or someone who wants to get into racing more. Or just riding, but wants to get into what we do, like enduro, downhill, sort of gravity, mountain biking, and get better at it. Maybe we'll just all try and give one piece of advice for them. You want to kick it off, TP?
I guess I'll go from like my side of the job. So if someone wanted to be a mechanic, advice, you just got to learn. Like I learned pretty much everything on YouTube. I like taught myself. I worked for Day Zero. Sol kind of he just backed me to pretty much run his shop, and I knew like all the basics, but I didn't know a ton of stuff. And you just like I kind of just threw myself in the deep end and just had to learn. Like if there was no one else there to help fix it, if it was broken, I couldn't do it, so I just had to learn. And I think I probably worked for him for like 2.5 years, and I learned more than I probably ever did. Just like everywhere's so good now, and there's so much information that you can just go on the website and find it. Like especially like SRAM Rock Chalks are so good. There's manuals for everything. So I've spent a lot of time reading through those and watching YouTube videos. And yeah, if you don't really try, you're probably not gonna ever do it. So yeah, and that's just like you either get lucky knowing the right people or putting yourself in the right position to get there, which I guess talking to people and, being there to help people as well. Like I've probably helped quite a few mates in the past, like fixing things when I wasn't getting paid for it. And then those are the people that maybe in the future go, actually, like, this guy could be all right. But yeah, just learn as much as you can. And there's so many resources now that it's pretty easy.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Chris, do you want to go for it?
Sure. I'd say surround yourself with good people and keep the big picture up above. Don't worry about all the small stuff. Yeah,
I'm kind of on a similar page. I think my main part of advice in any sport is probably don't overthink it and just do, like, if you want to get better at biking, don't stress about like all the gym work or the nutrition or the physio stuff. That stuff can come later. Just go and ride your bike and have fun, like Craig said, with good people. People that are better than you is ideal. If you can ride with people that are better than you, is like the number one thing that makes you faster. And but just having fun. Like if you're having fun and riding your bike, you're going to get better.
Well, like you got to want it as well. Like you got to.
Yeah.
If you were just like, it'd be like nice to be a pro bike racer or a mechanic or whatever it is. Like you're probably not going to do it if you're just like chilling. Like you got to want to do it, and like you guys love, you're like super competitive, and you love either like going fast or like doing what you do with the skiing. And I just love bikes working nice. Like I probably became good at doing my job because of like selfish reasons. Like I just want my bike to work better.
Yeah.
So you got to like want whatever it is that you're chasing like fully.
Yeah, exactly. If you have the passion, the rest of the work becomes easier. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was probably going to say similar to you. Like you just have to keep it fun. Like as soon as you're not having fun, you're just going backwards.
Yeah.
And it's like that's why all of us do it. Like the reason that I wanted to be a pro biker was so I can ride my bike more. Like I don't want anything else apart from just be like that. I just love doing it, so that's lets me do it the most.
Yeah.
So yeah, just keeping it fun, focusing on just like the little processes, I suppose. Like just try and enjoy learning, and like don't be afraid at sucking at something because everyone sucks at something first. Like
true.
It's funny because it's like, and I feel like a lot of people say like get really good at racing and then like aren't very good at jumping or whatever, and then because they sort of like their ego gets into it a bit and they don't want to go back to basics and try and like learn something that other people seem like they're doing really easily. But it's like you just got to like put that aside and just like get stuck in and just like embrace not being good at things.
And no one cares if you're not.
And no one cares, no.
Everyone will be there to help you. If you're like not good at doing jumps, someone will teach you. Or if you're like you're not good at riding in the wet, like someone will help you. No one cares if they have to wait for you while you're riding. Like if everyone's having fun.
Yeah. And
I
then
feel
like if you get to like another part is like if you get to sort of like the cusp where you feel like you're kind of at a level where you feel like you could probably go professional, start telling people that you want to.
Yeah.
Because people love to help. And it's like, I know but
they might not know.
They might not know. And it's like, there's this whole thing where it's like, you don't want to, for some reason, you don't want to tell people that you want to be pro, you want to sort of stay.
It's because Kiwis and Aussies are humble, probably.
Yeah.
And they don't want to put themselves out there in case they don't go pro.
Yeah,
They don't want to admit to the world that they care a lot about it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But then, like, you miss out on so many opportunities because people don't know.
Well, put yourself out there then, basically.
Yeah. Put yourself out there.
Yeah. I think we nailed that. Well, I've got one more for TP and then we're pretty much good. But a lot of people want to know the differences between the Lyric and the Zeb. And I've already explained it a lot of times. So I was thinking...
So many YouTube videos have already explained it.
Yeah. So I think I'll pass it on to you and maybe you can just explain that we did a little bit of testing about it. And maybe also just what you're doing with to update the damper when you get home, because that's also super interesting.
Yeah,
you guys might have to listen through some tech, but you might learn something.
You can leave and go riding now if you want. Like pretty much all of our decisions have purely been based on like feel and time. They're like our two factors that we use. So whenever we test, we pretty much time everything So that way we've got like a definitive, like faster, slower answer, because that way no matter like what your own ideas or opinions or anything, like there's always like a set in stone, this is better, if you can use that word, because if we're racing, like quicker is better.
Yeah, even though it feels worse if you're going faster, if your time's shorter.
Exactly. Yeah. So and like the feel, you can think you're hooking and you could just be going slow because you're like messy or whatever. So I think we did pretty much all our Zab lyric testing last year in Chamonix at the start of the season. When we hopped onto the Stumpy for the pretty much the first time. We'd done like 2 days of testing before that. But again, it was quicker, so we ran it because it's an amazing bike. But we were riding on like a track pretty similar to like a lot of stuff that we'd race, like chunky, a lot of off-camber routes, fast, slow, bit of everything. And from memory, the times were almost identical for the trail. We could get the damper and the air spring to feel very similar. And this was like before we were using data, so we could get it to feel what we thought was pretty similar.
Felt meant, really.
Yeah, so it came down to the lyric was tracking a bit better on like off-camber routes. Like when you're setting up into a turn, it's like a little bit rough, just because it flexes a bit better. You're not getting deflected off so many rocks and roots and all the obstacles in the way. So because the times are the same and we could get the other parts of the fork, like how it worked, to feel the same, we just came down to this one feels better for you. So we ran it and we've been running it ever since. So yeah, I know maybe we'll try again one day and see if it's ever changed, but for now it's like neither one is quicker or slower, so then we can just purely make a decision on what you like the feel of better.
Yeah, and I think it's nice just having it a little bit more compliant, especially when you have a big long day or a long stage. It's just a bit nicer on the arms as well.
And like I know Sam won plenty of EWSs on a lyric, and a lot of people did before that. So it's still a pretty
good fork.
Amazing fork. So RockShox has just done all their new Charger 3.1 dampers. So you've been on it for a while. And what I saw, which I immediately went and spoke to the guys at Worrells back in New Zealand and bought, is they're just doing like I think it's €80 or like $80, and it's just like a few damper parts to upgrade the old damper to the new one, which they probably lose like maybe a few fork sales or damper sales, but the fact they let you do that is so cool. So great move by RockShox. They do it
makes it a complete 3.1 just with that change.
Just like a little change like that. So they've always been pretty good at that type of stuff, which is cool. So we'll be doing that when we get home.
So basically anyone for like Tom said, $80 or $100 can have the 3.1.
Pretty much
if
a
you
new
have a
fork.
3.
Yeah.
So really exciting. I think the lyric is like going back to the Sam Hill lyric, which was very successful for. I think the lyric that I'm on is like maybe 60% stiffer than that lyric. Even. Like it's been updated, so it's still like his one was even more flexy.
Yeah,
and it worked for him. So I don't think necessarily stiff is better. It just depends on the size of the bike, the length of the travel, all that stuff.
Yeah, like if you're probably any longer travel than we are, because we're only on 160, like the lyric doesn't go that big, but there's probably a reason for that. Like maybe then you've got like way more leverage on it and it does get a little worse. But are you running a lyric on your 5010?
Yeah, I definitely haven't been. I haven't had heaps of time on it yet, so I've only really been riding some pretty cruisy stuff on it. But in terms of the feel, it feels very similar. Like it's running the same damper, so it's like in terms of the feel, it feels quite similar. But I haven't ridden anything like chunky enough to notice it really. And that thing's at like 150. So it's like it's fair bit different to what I'm running on my Nomad.
Sweet. I think we nailed that one. I reckon. Why don't we just all say what's next for us, like in the coming weeks, because we're all doing a little bit of different stuff.
Around the circle.
Oh, kick it off. We're doing some biking for the next couple of weeks. Go to the Comblow race, which I'm super excited for, and then I've got the Arterix Academy in Chamonix, and then to the Swiss round.
Yeah,
and I'll do that.
Lots of biking.
That EDR and LH, and then I'm back to Southern Hemisphere for winter.
And maybe just give us a quick, can you tell us about your project you're working on, or is that all top secret?
No, can do. I guess.
So there's people can look out for it coming up.
Yeah, yeah, so this year I'm just working on a Arc'teryx project, which has been exciting. Been shooting that with Jules Bello, and yeah, we started in January and we'll wrap up in the Southern Hemisphere in August, and then hopefully the film will be coming out in the fall. So
people can look
keep
for
an
that
eye
like October or something.
yeah, we're still figuring out like exactly what it's going to look like on post production, but all going to plan.
And so it's
I
like,
think.
basically a movie like 20, 30 minutes. sort of
Yeah,
thing.
like a short film.
Yeah.
Yeah, should be good.
I'm frothing to see it.
Well, we're just hanging out here in Morzine for the next probably 10 days now before we head to Comblow, which I'm super excited for. Like, new rounds are always awesome. And it's, super close to here, so it should be good. And then we come back to Morzine for a little bit and do a bit more riding. Hopefully it's a bit more sunny than it's been the last couple of weeks, because we've had about 3 weeks in Morzine so far, and every single time is like head to toe, bike wash, like shoes wash, everything's
wash.
filthy. We're about to go brave the elements now, but it's like mud tire season in Morzine at the moment. But it's good. It's like fun for a change. And then we go to that Swiss round, which is another new one. So I'm super excited for that. New place is always really cool. After the Swiss round, I'm going home for like just over a month, back to New Zealand, do some skiing, see the girlfriend. Hang out with Marnie a bit, which will be super nice, and then come out for the end of the season. So now we have Worlds in Canada. I'm super excited for that. That's already one of my favourite venues. So to go back there for a World Champs is going to be awesome.
Yeah, we've got 2 blocks of 2 races coming up. So I'm on the same program as TP and these two as well. But it's going to be a pretty punchy rest of the season. Just 2 chunks and then a lot of off time in the middle.
Yeah, pretty much halfway now, I guess. For the enduro,
For enduro,
season,
we're halfway. Yeah,
and then Worlds is just a little bonus, cherry on the top.
Yeah, a little Aperol.
Yeah.
Booker, what's up for you?
I'm off to the Stone King Rally tomorrow. So that's a 6-day enduro race that goes from France in the Alps all the way to the coast in Italy. So I've never done it before, and it's been something I wanted to do for a while. It looks insane. But I've been off the bike for 2 months, and I've done about 10 laps, 10 laps since, and the amount of riding that's about to be it's like essentially in one race I'm doing more racing than an entire Enduro World Series in one event. So that'll blow the cobwebs and some other things out, I reckon. And then straight away I think I'll have to drive from Italy all the way back to Comblow, and then I'll have a day or two and then get stuck into the first World Cup of the year.
Good to have you back.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And then
I'm missing you because it sounds like the races. Sounds like the races will be starting, and whatever Booker's number is, are you?
Be 7.
7? Yeah. They're like, oh, where's number 7? Where's number 7? Like they're not here, and we're like, oh damn, it's Booker. And we're like, all gutted that you're not there.
Yeah.
So we've been missing you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it'll be the lowest number plate I've ever had, so I'm looking forward to getting one of those. And then I'll be off to Switzerland as well, and then off to Canada for a couple of months. So I'm really looking forward to that. I love it over there. So that's the plan. And then back to Europe.
Sweet, yeah. Well, I reckon we've cracked it. Thanks, boys. Appreciate your time.
All good.
We always run over time on these things, but I think there's heaps of little nuggets in there for people. So
A lot of waffling on the Waffle-Copter.
it's always waffling, but it's so good because like people would never get a chance to speak to all of us, especially together. Especially because Craig's usually on the snow, in Alaska or something. So to have the chance just to get some knowledge and just some yarns from you guys is cool. So thanks.
No worries.
All right. Over and out. Like and subscribe. Thank you.
Doses.